Okay, I think we're all connected. Hello. Excuse me. How are you? You well? How's this Monday going? Is it going good? It's fine if it's not, not every day goes great, but I hope it's going well. We're going to do a bit of meditation, emergence work I do. If you're curious about further emergence, I'm going to explain about it at the end. So, as I say, it's not a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. If you're familiar with meditation, if you're experienced, great. Can you hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? Because I explain what I do on Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Friday. No, we just get on with it, but today it's for new people. So there's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate, why I would do that thing. I'm trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out the dreamless sleep where I have no thoughts, no memories, no feelings. I've got no personality. I don't really have a body. Don't really have a bedroom. Don't really have a house. Don't really have anything. I don't even have me. Like, I cease to exist, really. Certainly in the way that I normally register that I exist. Which, that sounds awful, doesn't it? And yet, when I go to sleep, or when I go to bed, I love going to bed, And when I wake up in the so some part of me knows that wherever I go is good. And that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try and do this lying down, because if you do, there's a good chance that you'll fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are kind of going against what you're trying to do. So I'd encourage you to sit up. You don't have to sit in the lotus position or anything like that, unless you are comfortable sitting like that. I'm just sitting in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, make sure it's not a big comfortable armchair, because then you'll just be into the whole sleep side of things again. So, as I said, there's no thoughts in this place that I go to. For some reason, my mind can't get there. It's almost like a room that my mind has to wait outside the door of. So I have to figure out something to do with my mind. I have to make an arrangement with my mind where, I can meditate and it's going to be happy as well. I make an arrangement with it. I say, I'm going to meditate for the next 15 minutes. Can you just not think, please? And my mind at this stage is on board. It goes, yep, fine, okay, let's do that. Now, having your mind on board is not going to be something that's going to be an issue when you're just starting out in meditation, because when you're meditating first, your mind will be really into it because it's exciting and interesting and new and different, and minds like that sort of thing. The idea of having your mind on board become a thing, after the 10th time, after the 20th time, when your mind knows what's going to happen, there's nothing new, and it can cause trouble. So if that's the case for you, if you want to ask me about it, I can talk about it at the end. But for now, we'll just say having your mind on board is important. So mind on board, good. Next thing, stop thinking. Stopping thinking is actually easier than it sounds. It's easy to stop because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the structure of my thoughts, it's always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it, I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation. So my intention is, as I said, to go to this deep, mysterious, profound, calm, still, Zen-like, all those words that are used to describe. The practice of meditation starts as soon as I stop thinking, and it pretty much goes, I'll turn off the pictures, I'll turn off the sound, so I'll bring myself to not thinking. Then some time will pass and I'll discover that I'm thinking again. I go, oh, I'm thinking, right, fine. So I bring myself back to not thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. Then some more time will pass, I'll discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking, fine. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass. I go, oh, I'm thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, and so on. So, wow, completely drawn a blank. Isn't that amazing? I've done this so many times. So bring yourself back to not thinking. Yes, okay, good. So what's after that? Great, okay, let's just meditate. To know that thinking is part of it. You know, it's really easy to get the idea that not thinking is, or you know, that you shouldn't be thinking at all if you're meditating, which isn't true. It's a process of bringing yourself back to not thinking, because both are very powerful. Like, it's very powerful when you are very still and you're like, great, but it's also very powerful when you discover that you're thinking. It just doesn't feel like it, because the power in it is quite subtle. Because what happens is, if you're like me, the sort of things you think about are all to do with you. So I'll be thinking, what did I say that for? What am I going to do about that thing? Why did that person say that thing to me? And so on. Now, if I'm meditating and I'm in the middle of one of those thoughts, and then I remember, I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. If I'm in the middle of that and that happens, indirectly what I'm saying to myself is, or demonstrating to myself is, you know, that thought was you and that you were it, well, you just made that disappear. You just like, gone. Yeah, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. So indirectly what I'm saying is, you're not that thought. You thought you were that thought, but you're not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. So that's pretty profound. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly, that's very profound as well. So the main thing to get is that thinking happens, so it's fine. There's no any thoughts about how you, just another thought. So if your mind is going, oh, I'm not very good at this, I'm thinking a lot, you know, that's your mind talking about itself, which is ridiculous. And all those thoughts are just to be turned off, to turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, right? And there's no right amount of times that you should be bringing yourself back from thinking. You know, it's not like, oh, I had to bring myself back from thinking a lot, so that was a rubbish meditation. It doesn't work like that. It changes. It changes like the weather. You have to bring yourself back a lot, and other days you don't have to bring yourself back that much. And one is not better than the other. That's just your mind having something to say about it. Your mind doesn't really know about meditation. It doesn't understand it, even though it can talk about it. Even though I'm talking about it, my mind doesn't really understand how it works. So the main thing, the golden rule is, every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing great. Not thinking business. I'm also becoming a little bit more conscious of my body, a little bit more conscious of any stress in my body. So what I do is I scan my body from my head down to my feet, back up again very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I let it go using my out breath, because it feels natural to just breathe it away. But also, it's a good way to remember to breathe, which is, I know it sounds crazy, but funny thing in meditation, it's really easy to hold your breath, to unconsciously hold your breath, or to stop breathing, you know. So using the out breath to let go of tension is just a good way of becoming more conscious of your breathing. And just by doing that, you'll actually breathe a bit deeper, a bit more naturally. And the other thing is, as I'm scanning my body up and down, I'm spending a little bit more time on any structures in my body that go transverse or across my body, because mostly my body runs longitudinally, my head to my feet. But anywhere it goes across, it acts a bit like a log going across a stream. You know, it picks up all the twigs and the branches and the, you know, except it's my body that's tension. So I've spent a little bit more time on my eyes, a little bit more time on my jaw, tongue, base of my neck, shoulder girdle. All my joints are transverse sites as well, so my shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers. My heart area is a big transverse site, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my feet. Having a nice quiet room is really helpful when you're starting in meditation. Mainly because one of the things that triggers thoughts is sound, little noises. And as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, your hearing amplifies. So the quieter the room, the better chance you'll have. You're sort of helping your mind have less things to think about. The other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. Now I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but if you're new to yours for 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times, mainly because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. Well, that sounds crazy, but even with the timer, around the 7th or 8th minute, your mind will be like, no, I forgot to set the timer, I didn't set it right, or if you're relying on my timer, the internet's gone down, or whatever. Your mind will come up with something. So, let me set my timer and we will get on with it. Okay. Okay, so if you feel like you've gone somewhere, deep kind of feeling, then you might need to take a bit of time to come back from there before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you can hold the inner space and the outer space at the same time, then you can just open your eyes. And if when you open your eyes you feel like you've lost it, you've lost the inner space, you can just close. There it is. Open your eyes again. Gone. Yeah, close it. You can use your eyes like a valve to kind of balance the inner space and the outer space. So, as I said at the beginning, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. If you're curious about further emergence, what it's to do with growth, inner growth, growth in consciousness, growth in awareness. You could call it spiritual growth, that kind of growth, because your body pretty much starts as an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That goes on for your whole life. I mean, you only have to think about who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You were a different person. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth in your body. They're called growth spurts. Well, you go through the same on the inside. You go through inner growth spurts, and they too continue on for your whole life as well. But they feel different, because when you were a kid, if you were going through a growth spurt and you went to your parents and said, I've got pains in my legs or my shins or wherever you were feeling the growth, your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have brought you to the doctor. They wouldn't have, they wouldn't have related to you like you were broken or there was something wrong. They would have just said, sorry, they're growing pains. I'm sorry that you're going through that, but it'll pass. It's natural. It's much harder to know that it's natural and it will growth spurt, particularly, when you're 25, 35, 45, 55, 65. There's a much bigger space to feel like there's something wrong. There's something wrong with you. You're broken in some way. You need to be fixed. So further emergence is about supporting growth in general, inner growth, and in particular when you're going through those difficult inner growth spurts. So the meditations are one way. Wednesday and Friday. On Monday I kind of go through it for beginners. And why is meditation helpful is because, or how meditation is helpful is because it helps you become more familiar with your inner landscape. And the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the easier it is it makes it easier to navigate these inner growth spurts. Then also 2 weeks, that's a chance to meditate a bit more deeply. We do like 3 sort of half-hour meditations, and the retreat generally goes for about 4 hours. So it is a chance to retreat from your life, to pull back from it a little bit and go reflect on how it's going, what's going on, to get a bit of feedback, a bit of to hear other people, what they're going through. It can feel very isolating when you're going through an inner growth spurt. Because almost overnight you can feel like nobody understands you and you don't understand anybody. That's one of the ways it can manifest. So the retreats are great. The next one's next Saturday. So if you want to come to that, you're very welcome. If you go to furtheremergence.com, you can find out how to do that. Then I work with people one-to-one as well. And the reason for that is I've been through lots of growth spurts myself, and I've helped lots of people through it, particularly as a craniopsychotherapist. I was a craniopsychotherapist for many years. And the way that the inner growth spurt can manifest is very different from person to person. So to get very individual feedback that is just, about your particular situation can. And then I also use my craniosacral skills to work kind of behind the scenes remotely with the person as well, to help their system harmonize, balance, and with the process. Because sometimes the way further emergence can manifest is physical symptoms as well. So I can help with that as well. So yeah, I can't see a huge amount of people. I can only see like 8 people a week, but that's another way that is supported, gets supported. I've written a couple of books as well. They're all roughly around the subject of further emergence. There's the Further Emergence podcast as well. So there's a lot of support there. So if you're still with me, if you listened all the way to the end, maybe some part of you is going, there's something to this, there's something resonating here. I'm not really sure why. I'd encourage you to listen to that part. That'll tell you what to do is whether it's to keep doing the meditations, or to keep doing the meditations, or to maybe watch some of the videos on YouTube, to come to a retreat, to get in touch for some one-to-one work, read a book, listen to the podcast, or none of the above. That part of you will tell you, will inform you what to do. For meditating with me, and I'll see you on Wednesday for a bit more meditation. All right, bye.